Welcome to Life, Lessons, and Legacy, the podcast where we delve into the stories that shape our lives and the lessons we carry forward. I'm your host, Cedric D. Nelson, and I'm excited to embark on this journey of discovery, growth, and inspiration with you. Whether you're seeking motivation, guidance, or simply a moment of reflection, Life, Lessons, and Legacy is here to accompany you on your quest for fulfillment and purpose. So sit back, open your mind, and let's embark on this transformative journey together. You know, but that's who you pick. I said, how many thugs do you know that are actually great fathers? Like scammers, and like you said, all those people that's doing all this. Like, how many of them do you know that are great fathers? I mean, you might have one or two, maybe an anomaly, but for the most part, you see what you see is what you're about to get.
Exactly.
You know? So it's great. So I got a couple more quick questions for you, and we'll keep moving. But so
okay,
two questions. So what goals do you have coming up right now, and what do you think about? Well, we kind of learned to talk about this. Goals you have coming up, and what life lessons have you learned along the way?
Man, we've been talking about life lessons the whole time. Man, a goal that I want to, and I'm trying to figure out how to do it. I think my idea is bigger than what I'm able to do. Like, one thing as a barber, I talk to these young boys all the time in my chair.
Mm-hmm.
I tell women that drop them off or whatever. I'm not going to say anything to your child I wouldn't say to my own.
Mm-hmm.
Your child is going to have to act a certain way in this chair. I don't deal with unruly kids talking slick to me and all. Man, I wasn't raised like that, and I ain't cut like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And one thing that I do know, these young boys desire to have men in their lives, man.
They do.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
they do.
One of the main things I would love to do if I had the funding and if I had the building and all that, I would like to start a school for young boys where they could be there like all the time and just teach them a lot of things that they don't learn out here in these streets. Like when you talked about, these dudes don't know how to change tires, check the oil, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Just teach them this manly stuff that I'm seeing that there's a void for. Teach them about what we're talking about, financial literacy. Teach them about those type of things. How to really function as an adult to where we don't think having our pants down to our knees and walking around with guns is what a man is. Right. You know what I'm saying? That is not what it is.
It's not.
So I would love to be able to come together with a bunch of like-minded men that understands how to deal with these kids in a structural way to where we're teaching them this is what it is to be a man. And, I ain't talking about, you know what I'm saying? Because you listen to this rap music, all it's doing is teaching them to be cake daddies.
That's
it. Just paymasters. You know what I'm saying?
So paymasters, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know what I'm saying? Teach them how to take care of your house, your home, and those things that you possess and own. Man, it's so much that we're missing. And I applaud. It's this young dude. I follow him on Instagram. At 22, he started a program doing that.
Yeah.
His name New King something. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But he teaching them how, and this is stuff I would like to do too. He teach them how to hunt. He teach them how to cook.
Yep.
He teach them stuff like how to mow the lawn and just all the stuff that you need to do. And people would hopefully see like this makes such a difference in these dudes, because I saw grown men that didn't know how to check oil or change a tire. And I mean, he said it so easily, like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, I don't know how to change a tire. Like, bro, how you 28 years old and don't know how to change a tire?
Don't even know what the jack is at. So I'm gonna say this, Greg. Now we will probably get together, and that's one reason why I want to interview you for the podcast, because I know as a barber, one of the things about the barbershop as a black man especially is there's always conversation. Like,
Yeah.
if you need advice, go to the barbershop, because they're going to tell you, somebody's going to share some wisdom with you. And I will get with you. I don't know, so I got so much going on, but same thing. I would like to try to put together a program where, even if we can't start with a school, maybe something on one weekend a month or something, where we kind of have a program where we bring in young men and like that thing. Because like you say, there's a thirst for knowledge. That's what people don't get. Like with the young men who don't have father figures or don't have structure, don't know how to do this stuff, like the ones that want to be good people, they want that. Like when you have somebody in your chair, they may wig out outside, but they know your standard in this chair is you're gonna sit your butt down, we can have a conversation. Now you leave it, you can do whatever you want to do. But in my chair, and like you said, there is a thirst for knowledge. I remember being a young child and not having my father figures, my uncles and stuff kind of poured into me. But I remember always thirsting for knowledge, like wanting somebody to tell me what it meant to be a man. My uncles teaching me how to work on cars, teaching me how to fish, how to hunt, how to fight. Like that's they don't understand, and that's how we kind of change things back to how they're supposed to be, because we take the time to teach this young man how to be a man. Because that's one of the biggest things. Most of them don't know, and they don't have anybody telling them. And again, we're not bashing moms, but I tell people all the time, like, it takes a man to teach a man how to be a man. Like, because if not, you are out here trying to figure it out yourself. And sometimes, depending on who you are and your intestinal fortitude, you may figure it out. But it's so much easier having another man teach you, okay, well, like you say, you don't sit with your back to the door. You make sure you can see who's coming in. You don't walk, you don't have your woman walking closest to the street. Just those small things, opening doors, fixing drywall. It's like, those are the things that these young men want, because you want them to have that male pride. Like you and I, we talk about this, and both of us have male pride. Like, no, my wife's not asking another man for money. I'm gonna check my wife's oil. I'm gonna change her tire. And I think it's kind of lost now. And you talk a lot about mama's boys, and especially with them, because it's like they want to protect them so much that they're basically crippling them, because the next woman that comes along, he's no good for her, because he expects her to take care of him like you did. And it's like, no, you grown. I tell my daughter and son, I'm like, no, this joke was grown. Like, and I tell this, and I will keep going. I tell my son all the time, I said, look, I love you, and I love your sister. I love y'all equally. Both of y'all are mine. I love you. But there is a chance that your sister can meet somebody that may be like, okay, she might meet a good guy. He might be like, you know what? Don't worry, I'll take care of everything. And actually be a decent guy. I said, son, you're going to be a man. Nobody's going to take care of you. Like, if you in a crappy situation, you're going to be in a crappy situation till you fix it. I mean, luckily, you have your mother and I, and we're going to help you. But I'm telling you, there's no mercy for a man. Nobody's going to feel sorry for you. You got to figure this stuff out, so.
Yeah. And so with some of the stuff that we're saying, it'll look like to most we're attacking women. But look, in Proverbs 11, and I want to say it's 11:1 or 11:11. I think it's 11:1. It says, an unjust balance is an abomination, which basically is saying where there is no balance there's chaos. A structured family has a mother and a father. And when you only have one, there's an unjust balance there. It's going to be chaos behind it. It sounds like we're bashing women, but we're actually really trying to tell them, look, man, we need to come together.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't tell you, like I said, accountability. We spoke about it so much. If I'm telling you where you're falling short, you feel like I'm attacking you. But I'm really just trying to get the structure, the order together. You know what I'm saying? And like you, man, I read the Bible more than I read anything. And if people understood the wisdom, and I really think a lot of churches fail with the way that they teach. Most of it is just all prosperity.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that is a big problem that I have with the church. But if they really taught what was in there, you know what I'm saying? First of all, most of them wouldn't be filled. And I tell people all this time, a lot of people hate God while they saying that they love him. Because if you loved him, you would do what he said to do.
Right.
We understand that as parents. Like if you have a rebellious child and they just buck in the system, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you gonna say you love me when you won't listen to me? Right. Well, me as people, as the children of God, how do we say we love them when we constantly buck in the system? you can clearly see the results of not doing what he says.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, like, man, I have a problem with the church, but you know what I mean? Like, my thing is, I can read this book, you know what I'm saying? That's another deep conversation,
Yep.
you know what I mean, within itself.
Mm-hmm.
But I've like literally been in a church where I saw the preacher, the preacher was talking about doing something, and one of the parishioners stood up and said, well, the Bible says not to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And they brought out the scripture. And he said, yeah, I'm aware that scripture does say that, but we're going to go out here and save these souls. I'm like, how you going to save a soul
Right. Go against
if
the
you
Bible.
do really what the Bible said not to do?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these was Christ's words. Christ said not to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But you going to go save a soul. All right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I started having a problem with the church from that day on.
Yeah. And like I say, because everybody takes it and makes it to what they want. Like you say, the fact that someone stood up and said, well, look, the Bible verse says this. So are we supposed to follow the Bible? We're supposed to follow you. And you see what I'm saying? And that's the flaw, because now you worshiping man instead of worshiping the Bible and God and the way it's supposed to be. And like you say, we're not bashing men nor women in this thing. Like you say, we're just trying to say, look, God put forth the 10 commandments. He put forth the order for us to follow. And when you follow it, life is so much easier. It's kind of like this podcast. I tell people all the time, like, sometimes God gives us all these gifts, right? And talents. And we got to figure out what to do with those talents. But a lot of times we don't even pursue those talents that God gave us, right? We try to go do X, Y, and Z, and this and that, and it fails. We all pissed off and hurt. And it's like, but the reason why you having a hard time is you're not following what God told you to do. God said, I gave you these talents. Go use his talent to that. If you do what God wants you to do, then the rewards, financial, health-wise, relationship-wise, all this stuff will come. But we are so bent on doing things our own way. It's kind of like being a child and your parent telling you, look, I'm telling you, it's got to love you. I'm telling you how to get from A to B, but you want to go A to Z, and now you don't understand why you having all these problems. It's the same thing with children of God, and sometimes we just don't listen. Like you talking about the women picking bad men or men picking bad women. It's like, you pick this person, and now all of a sudden you're wondering why either she's an unfit mother or he's an unfit father. But you picked this joker. Like, nobody made you. So,
and nobody forced you to stay.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly
When you found out this wasn't the right person for you, you know what I mean? And like I said, this is why man, I could talk to a woman a whole year and not touch her. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm really trying to see who you are, because you let a person continue to talk, they're going to show you exactly who they are. If you don't get it, it's your own fault.
That's it.
Just let them talk.
Just listen to them. Like, so they'll tell you what they really think and how they really feel. You know, I tell my daughter that when dealing with guys, my son, I'm like, just listen long enough. Just listen and be observant. That person will tell you who they are. You know,
like you said, it's all about the actions.
That's it. And I tell them, trust them to be who they are. Once they show you who they are, trust them to be who they are. If you don't, you set yourself up for failure. You know?
Yeah. Man, I had this lady give me her phone number at church. It was crazy because we always sat in the same section. And, very attractive woman. And man, I'm talking about like over the course of maybe a year. And it was crazy because they would see me come in with my son, but never enough, they never saw me with a woman. So I know they was all curious, like, man, what's up with this dude? You know what I mean? So sometimes we be in the same section and they say, grab your neighbor hand and pray with your neighbor. And, a couple of times I prayed with her, whatever. And I saw she had a son. Man, I knew one day that woman was going to give me her phone number. And one day she slid me her phone number. You know what I'm saying? It was funny. You know what I mean? So we had a few conversations. Nice woman. Anyway, we had a few conversations. It got to the point to one day she told me she had keyed her son's father. He had a Forerunner or something. She said she keyed his truck. And I was like, why? And she said something about some woman I said, but y'all wasn't together, right? And she was like, no, but he was lying to me. I was like, but what does that got to do with you? And why would you key that man's car?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So she was talking about she was trying to put him on child support, and she said he was a great father. Said he took up time with his son all the time. The boy's probably about 8 or 9 years old.
Yeah.
And I was like, so are you putting him on child support because he's not a good father, or you putting him on child support just to be vindictive? She quickly said to be vindictive. Now, the fact that she told me she keyed his car, and the fact that she said she was being vindictive, was every reason for me to stop talking to this woman.
Right.
But because she looks so nice, I know the average dude would be like, man, I just gotta hit it. Nah, I ain't that dude. I ain't just gotta hit it. I don't want the punishment behind it. You know what I'm saying? None of that. And then, you know, and it took a lot for me to learn this. You know, I had to go through certain things to get to that point. Like, man, it ain't even worth it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You know, it's funny, Greg. I was telling my son, I said, as you get older, your loins stop leading you. When you're young, you know, it's like, you know, and I'm sure this podcast get a lot of views with this, but when you're younger, you know, you just, as a guy, as sad as it sounds, you're kind of just like, your loins are leading you. You making decisions that don't make any sense. You are out here just hunting. It's like I got to get rid of this today. You know, it's like you are just, it controls your thoughts, it controls your actions, it controls everything. But as you get older, you start looking at like, oh, that's a pretty headache right there. I don't want that headache. You know, you're not led by them. Like I said, woman's being beautiful, but you seeing she told you she's vindictive, and she keyed his car, and kind of who she is as a person. It's like, nah, I'm good. Because same end result. I'm good. I don't know parts of that.
No problem. I don't want none of that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. But, you know, and not just are we led by our loins, but society pushes that on to us. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, this is what you're supposed to do as a man.
Yep.
That's what I thought. And I was out there trying to conquer everything that came my way.
That's what I was
taught, you know what
too.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
And man.
Yeah. And it's crazy, Greg, because like you said, my uncles, some of them were good influence, some of them wasn't. But that's what I was taught. Even my uncles, my older brother, like, hey, you know, get as many women as you can. And as you get old, you start realizing like it's kind of shallow and it's kind of empty at that while, because at the end of the day, it's kind of the same result. It's kind of like, okay, I did that, but like, I want somebody I can sit down and talk to and build something with. And that's not what's encouraged through society. Like you said, like I want to, if you were a guy in your 20s and you said what I just said about, I just want somebody I can talk to and build something with, they probably laugh at the barbershop. You know, like, man, what's wrong with you? Man, you need to, I ain't see that chicken you need to try to smash. You're like, nah, like I'm trying to build something, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
And that goes back to, like I said, people don't look at marriage as a business. In this marriage, we trying to build something.
Yep.
You know.
Crazy. So
that's the downside.
Yeah, it is. So I'm not gonna hold you much long. I think we've definitely been on here for a while. I got 2 more quick questions for you. One we talked about earlier, and I'm interested to hear your answer. Who has been the single most inspirational person in your life, past or present?
Man, I figured it out while we was talking.
Okay.
Life has been the most inspirational person to me. You know what I'm saying?
I can get that. Yeah.
Hey, man, you know what I mean? Like, for real, like, I think when you can sit back and look at it from a different scope and see what it is that you're going through. Because, you know what I'm saying? We all have a testament. You know what I'm saying? We've all been through something.
Yep.
That's why when people get to, you know, everybody got a story that's worthy of being heard. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So, every life influences everybody. I actually told my son this years ago because I had my struggles as a single father with raising my son in Chicago. He was wanting to get in the streets and gang bang and run with gang bangers and all that. And, you know, I always told him, I said, I'm fighting for you and you're fighting against me. Like, my biggest fight with fighting for you is fighting you. You know what I mean? And I said, but you will get it. I said, everything that I say, you're going to see it later. You just think I'm just talking or whatever. I said, the biggest teacher in life is life itself.
It is.
There is no substitute. You're going to have to deal with this one teacher.
Yep. Gotta get them lumps.
So that's it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And man.
Yeah.
I can say some things stuck with them, but everybody got their own path to walk. So
and like you say, as parents, we want to protect them so bad. Because I'm the same with my kids. So you give them all this knowledge, you constantly pouring into them. And when my homeboys, one of my homeboys, Wallace told me, he said, just keep on teaching the lessons. Eventually they'll come back to them. But again, it's hard as parents to see them go out there and grab the electric fence when you're trying to prevent that for them. Like, hey, man, I'm trying to help you not have to grab the electric fence to get this lesson, or get hit in the head to get this lesson. But like you say, it's kind of like us growing up. Like you took that knowledge, but you got to go through life in order to figure it out. And it's not until you get older you start realizing, like, oh, my parents were kind of smart. Like they knew what they were talking about, because this generation now be like, y'all don't know, things are so different. I'm like, yeah, it's a little different, but it's the same. At the same time, nothing's really changed.
Nothing has changed. It just looks different.
It just looks different. They might not call him I don't know they call him back then, but now he's sugar daddy instead of whatever it may be, or they may have a different name for a man or woman that sleeps a lot of people than they did back then, but it's still all about the same. All right.
Yeah.
So next to last one, I want you plug your stuff, whatever you have. What do you think about legacy? We kind of talked about it. Like, what do you think about legacy? And when your time is up, like when your time is up on this earth and you go home to be with God, what legacy do you want to live on the world? I guess your son, your family, overall, what would you like for your legacy to be?
Man, I would be comfortable as long as I felt like, and I feel like I do this as much as I can, to have left an impact on somebody. Like I said, I every chance I get, when I have one of these young men that are open to soak up game and listen to whatever. And I had a situation yesterday where this young man, I don't know what I told him, but he came in and when I got through cutting his hair, he told me about a situation he was dealing with, and he was like, "You told me." And I looked at him, I was like, "I don't even know what you're talking about." You know what I mean? But, people don't understand the impact that you have when you really pouring into somebody and you giving them something that, they not getting at home. And, I pray all the time that I could be a vessel for the Most High to, steer people in the right way. And not just to steer them in the right way, but not to mislead them either. You know what I'm saying? I pray for both of those. I don't want to mislead them, but I want to, I think most people kind of just think about the one side. I think about both sides. Don't let me mislead nobody. I don't want their blood on my hand.
Right.
I mean, to me, that's the greatest legacy you could leave, is to have poured into somebody and left the world a little bit better than it was when you was here. You know what I mean? Like, I would like to, of course, leave my son and my grandson with something where they don't have to struggle. But all I can do is all I can do.
That's it. That's
it. So
yeah,
I feel like I do that every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, even when I, way back when I was bringing CJ, he was small, to the barbershop. I remember that, you were always in the talking and kind of giving knowledge, and all of us kind of just, I will say the environment is conducive to young men learning how to be men. Because you see how we're talking to each other, we're sharing knowledge, and the child kind of, I remember CJ saying, like, you kind of feel like one of the guys, because that's how it was when we were growing up. And I think there's no greater legacy a person can leave than touching the lives of somebody else, like you say, because when someone comes to sit in your chair, you don't know what that person went through before they came to your chair, nor what they're going to go through when they leave your chair. But the fact that you had somebody come in and say, hey, you told me something.
Right.
Like that's huge, because again, you don't even remember what you told them, but evidently it was something good and impactful.
Yeah. And this is one situation I always tell people about, like, it's nothing wrong with being a man. Like I said, when this other shop that I used to be at, And I didn't understand the whole situation till it was later explained to me. That was this young dude that used to come in. His mother was in one of those wheelchairs that you can drive around. I don't
Okay,
know.
gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. So one day he was in there, and it went on like several times. I would see him like be snappy with his mama, and you know what I mean? Like it was just one day I couldn't even take it no more. This ain't even my client.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So he said something. I said, "Hey, bro, look here. You gonna stop coming in this barbershop talking slick to your mom like that? Everybody in here got a mama. Man, we are not tolerating that.
Right.
You need to respect your mama when she come in here." Now, the crazy part is she kind of looked at me like I was crazy. She didn't say nothing, though.
Right.
She didn't say nothing. But the thing that I know is he got it because he never came in that barbershop talking slick to his mama no more.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So the funny part about it was one of the other barbers whose client it was, later on that day, he said, "Hey, Greg, you need to go out and cut hair over in Arlington." So I was like, what? I'm thinking like he's telling me I need to get out the shop. Right. I'm like, why I need to go to Arlington? He said, "Man, them people out there let you whoop their kids." He said, "They'll love to have you out there." I was like, "Oh, no, bro, I ain't put my hand on them." I said, "These kids aren't so far gone that when they're young,
right,
you can still, you know what I'm saying, talk to them and they'll listen."
Yeah.
He was like, "Yeah, man." He was like, "I'm telling you, though, you go out there, they'll love you." I'm like, that's cool, but really, bro, be the reinforcement.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Let us all have that attitude with these kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, you know, in a barbershop, you're going to have some people who have an opinion and an ideology that is way off.
Yeah.
It's just, you know what I mean? So they going to have a voice too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you're going to have to correct them and the child. You know what I mean?
Exactly right. That's
So,
me to my side. You like, you know, Greg, something funny about that though, man. I was telling me and my homeboy was talking about that with raising men. And again, my grandmother raised me by herself. Well, my grandfather passed when I was about 8. So she did a great, I mean, I love my grandmother. If I could do it over, I would still have my grandmother raise me. But I will say this, it is something about men raising men. Because again, the fact that you are a man and you were a man that stepped in and said, "Hey, look, we're not gonna talk to your mom like that." It changed everything. Because it's that, okay, well, he's a man just like I'm a man. He's a little bit bigger than me. This might get ugly in here. So it's something about that presence. I tell my son all the time, "CJ, you're a great kid. You know, I don't have any problems out of you. But you needed me in your life growing up. You needed to know that there's there's another lion in this house as well. And I'm the father, you the son. Ain't no disrespect me towards you or you toward me. But you needed that." I said, because if you had grown up without me, you may have been totally different. Like you need that, not necessarily a threat, but you need that to understand, like it's like in the real world. It's that pecking order, like you said, the father, the mother, the son, the daughter. You know, and that's how it's supposed to be. Like I shouldn't be in my house and be afraid of my child. What kind of stuff is that? Or go to the barbershop and he's cursing me out. It's like, no, we're not gonna do that. But again, you stepping up into that role and just saying something goes back to the program you're talking about starting, where I think the guy you're talking about, he caught some flack because he had the boys say yes sir, no sir. And
he did.
And they were like, "Wow, that's slave mentality and being submissive." I'm like, no, that is showing respect. Because I tell my kids, I demand for you guys to say yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am to me, not because y'all are beneath me, y'all not subservient to me or anything like y'all my children, but it's a sign of respect. It's for what I do for you. I am your father. People who are older than me, I say yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. And it ain't that I'm less than them. It's just a sign of respect. So it was crazy. This guy's doing this great program, but that is what people focused in on, the fact that he made them say yes sir, no sir. Crazy.
Man, I mean, like I said, I follow him on Instagram. The things that people have a problem with, I'd be like, there are so many lost people in this. And well, I don't want to say it's the majority, but again, we always address those that make their voice the loudest. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you don't see what I'm doing. And it's usually because of their experiences. You know what I mean? Like I said, I didn't have a great father figure in my old man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I literally prayed for 10 years to be able to forgive him for the things that he did to me. And I could go on and on, you know what I'm saying? He was around, but not around, you know what I mean?
Right.
So my whole thing was, when I have a child, I'm not going to be like him. You know what I'm saying? It was something, I can't remember who told me. They was like, when people talk bad about you, you either do one of two things. You prove them right or you prove them wrong, but you're going to do one of them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I said, my old man used to talk bad about me in front of me and to his friends, and had his friends thinking that they could disrespect me. And this almost turned into, and it did turn into a situation where at like 28, 29, I almost got into a fight with his best friend because when I was young, he used to allow this man to call me Buffy. And it was kind of his way of calling me a punk or something.
Right.
And I used to tell him, don't call me that. So I hadn't seen this man in like 15 years. And I ran into him. You know, my brother was a biker, and they, you know, they was all bikers. And, you know what I'm saying? My brother was in his club. So I ran into him and I spoke to him. I called him by his name, like, hey, how you doing? He was like, what's up, Buffy? And I, like I said, 15 years, I done been through the military and all this other stuff. Hey, bro, you not going to disrespect me. You know what I mean? So I'm telling him, I was like, hey, bro, don't call me that. That ain't my name. And then he said it again like it was a joke. Now I'm in the midst of all these bikers. And I'm having to tell this man, bro, that is not my name. And he said something about, don't make me take you outside. I said, you ain't got to take me nowhere. I'll meet you out there. And I was dead serious. So my brother, he knowing this, was going to catch me like, man, don't, you know what I'm saying? He was in the military. This, like, what does that mean to me? I said, bro, please tell me you're not sitting here letting these people disrespect you like this. Like, bro, this man is not going to call me anything other than my name. And I went outside to fight him. And like I said, my old man was in the building too. And I found out later, my old man told him he should have whooped me.
Really?
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know, like I said, me and my old man, we ain't had no great relationship. You know, he was an example of what not to be to me.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? So you can learn anything from anybody.
Yep.
It's just what you choose to learn.
Yep. That's a perspective.
So yeah, you know what I'm saying? So and it's crazy because I felt like I didn't have a father growing up, even though he was around. And then I felt like my son didn't want one. You know what I mean? Because it's like he wanted to buck the system and didn't appreciate having a father. But you can't, it's hard to explain something to somebody about something they take for granted of having. Because, like I said, in Chicago, none of his friends had fathers around. So it's kind of strange for him to talk about his father. I had problems at the school. Like, first of all, I was there so much because they constantly was calling me because of the stuff he was doing. I was there so much, I'm not joking. And I think I was 32, 33 at the time. These people thought I was a student.
Really?
But that's being active.
Yeah, that's it.
I didn't have a problem with it. Like, first of all, one lady told me, she said, I went to a parent-teacher conference or something, and it, you know, of all these students, it was like 60 people that showed up. And they had to tell me, you realize you're the only man here? I was like,
wow.
I didn't until you just said that.
Right. I'm just being a father.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? They are not used to it in the system either. I had situations where the school system was cool except for the principal. The principal was a black lady who had went to Harvard or Yale or something. Her nose was so far in the air. Like, she had an attitude with me, and I just came to check on my son. Y'all calling my house?
Right.
The assistant principal was a white lady, cool as a fan. You know what I'm saying? Helped me with a situation that really kept him from getting kicked out of school. It was just so much stuff, you know what I mean, that, you know, like I said, I told him all the time, I'm fighting for you. I'm not fighting with you. You just fighting against me. So, you know what I'm saying? Those are the things that you deal with, you know, and I look back on my situation and say, I caught all that drama because I ain't do it right.
Yeah,
I
I
know
get
I
you.
should have got married, you know what I'm saying? I had them young. It was like 18, 19, you know what I mean? So my thing has always been I've had women who said they wanted me to have a child. I was like, no,
So
no,
don't work that way.
I would never have a child, and I'm not gonna be in that household every day. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna undo the things that I tried to do to help raise this young boy into a man. You know what I'm saying? Those are all situations I dealt with. So
Yeah.
it's like, nah. And ain't nothing wrong with making a mistake, but just learn from it.
Right. Well, another thing I tell my kids the same thing. Kind of like with your son. It's like a lot of times with children, they can't appreciate what they have because they don't know anything different. They don't know what, like you say, what it's like not to have a father. Like you and I, yours was there, but he wasn't present. Mine popped in and out, whatever. But so we longed for a father. We longed for somebody to pour into us and protect us and show us how to do this. And I think with our kids, like I said, they grow up with the father. So it's like they appreciate you, but they take it for granted. Because I'm like,
Yeah.
can you imagine what your life would be like if I wasn't in your life? But again, they don't. It's kind of like the person that says that never struggled financially, right? Like when you tell them your struggle about, oh, I couldn't afford to go get gas or bread or whatever, they can kind of sympathize. But it's totally different when you've actually lived that life as well. When you've actually had times where you didn't only have one pair of shoes or two shirts or whatever. Like it's like you don't know any different. So
Right.
so you can't really appreciate it until you get older and realize like, or start comparing yourself like man, like I could have been like them. Like I could have not had my dad. So hopefully as they get older, they start understanding. It's just hard, man, because again, especially with children, it's like when you're a kid, you say you want to be grown. Well, when you get grown and start paying these bills, you're like, oh, I was tripping. Like
Man,
like I need to go back home. Like this sucks. Like this isn't what
right.
I thought it was, So
This adulting thing. It's just wasn't what I expected.
no, it's body blows all day. They just,
Yeah.
So last thing, and I'll let you go, man. And I won't say this is great, man. I'll follow up, but I have really enjoyed the conversation. We will probably have to do another part two because I enjoy it, and I think the best thing about this whole conversation is just life lessons. And it's one of those things. It's we're both men, so it's like the perspective. Maybe have a lady on one day to give her perspective, but it's the perspective from men who are fathers and trying to be great fathers and manly men we are in that role of what a man's supposed to be
Right.
and what a father's supposed to be. And we're just telling the truth of how it's, how we view it. Now, somebody might view it totally different, but the stuff we're saying, nothing about it is wrong. It's like, this is how it was designed. Like, I take pride in being a father. I take pride
Me
in
too.
being a stand-up guy and being a man and doing manly things, so yeah, so like I said, we'll definitely do it again. I'm asking the last question, but we'll definitely do it again. Man, this has been awesome. But so last thing, and then we'll go on. Any websites, events, products, or anything you like to promote that you want? If you do, this is your time to shine.
I mean, I got nothing to promote other than me. If you need a good cut, come over to Pollard's Barber Parlor, 1740 North Germantown Parkway. Ask for Greg. I get you in, get you out.
And I would say great service because, like I said, I've been knowing forever as far as with the barbershop and everything. And it's a friendly environment. Like there's no foolishness going
for sure.
on.
I couldn't be anywhere else, man. Like I'm not, I don't want to be in one of them spots where people just cursing randomly, not respecting your children, and man, I definitely had to be in a respectable place to work. You know what I mean? I've had my own shop. I tried to push that too. Like there's a greater responsibility at having a business, being a Black person, because now I don't care what your business is. We have an obligation to our people. I hate going into a place. I've gone into a restaurant. I ain't gonna call the name of it, but it's a fast food restaurant, and I don't eat pork, so it's hard for me to find places to eat breakfast.
Right.
But this place has a steak biscuit. You know what I'm saying? So I go in there. It was one day I went in there, man. It was 4 white officers in front of me. They was plain clothes, but they was officers. The girl at the register had the biggest smile, eyes wide open. Hello, how you doing? How can I help you?
Mm-hmm.
Did that on down the line. When I got there, she was just looking at me. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I heard you say this spiel 4 times. I know you got it in one more time.
Right.
But she just looked, I'm ready. So I said, okay. And I placed the order. I don't lose. When I was younger, this would irritate me, but I know, man, like we have a self-hatred within us that we got to deal with. And there's situations like this where we having these type of conversations are the only thing that'll heal it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm just saying that through the Most High and in that only. But I'm saying you got to have these godly conversations where you can say, look, we have to look at ourselves as a people. It's the reason why we do this to each other. It's a reason why you can have a block party and people spin out and shoot up the whole party. And I tell people all the time, you think there's nothing wrong with not teaching the Bible correctly. But if you read the scripture, you know Christ was a black man, God is a black man, and the reason why we can't do nothing correctly is because we don't see God in each other. You know what I'm saying? We've been indoctrinated to, and this is not a racial thing, this is just the truth. We've been indoctrinated to feel like other people are gods. And it's a system that is set up to work against us. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're taught from the time you're 4 or 5 years old in a school system, how great one people history is, how they conquered and did all these great things, and then you go into the church and you're hearing that God and Jesus was white, you're going to look at them like they're God. But you would never see God in your people. And I just I read the scriptures. The scriptures are, you know what I'm saying, not just those 5, 6 scriptures you hear at church all year. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a lot more to it. But to really understand, like, there's a reason why we're in the conditions that we're in. And there's a way to get out of it. All of that is within those scriptures. If you really reading it to get understanding and clarity, you know what I mean? Sadly, like I said, when I saw that lady check the pastor that one day, and I was like, okay, it's something I'm missing. Because if these was Christ's words and you choose to go against it.
And you're the leader of the church.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And these people still gonna flow and roll behind you.
Yep.
You have no fear of God. And I can't say you love him.
Right.
Because you following man.
Yeah. And that's it. Yeah. You know, Greg, it's crazy, man, because like you say, so many gems you know drop, and like again, like people want solutions, but you can't get the solution without doing the research to see why, like all the self-hatred, why it's okay to be shooting up, you know. It was a movie called Colors when I was a kid. I don't know if you ever seen this. Yeah,
definitely.
And,
I'm older than you, bro. I'm older.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So there was a movie called Colors, and there were 2 brothers. I don't know if you remember this part, but there was 2 brothers in rival gangs, and they basically gunned each other down in the front yard. And you start thinking to yourself, like, why we hate each other enough that I'm gonna gun my brother down in the front yard for some colors, for a rag, for a family, when that is my family? Or why would I see another person walking down the street and I'm going to rob him, and he only has 2 more dimes than I have? You know, it's like you say, there's self-hatred, and again, all the stuff we're talking about all goes back to the Bible. Like if you really, if you really want solutions and fix stuff, you go to the Bible, which is what people did before all this craziness. I think social media made things even worse. Because
definitely.
Yeah, people don't do any research. They just, okay, well, they said we should, okay, that's what they're gonna do. It's like and there's no more research in the Bible. And again, I tell you this, and but I tell you this, like, and there again, no one's pushing religion like that. And then when you do have someone who gets into religion, and you have a situation like the one you experienced at church, it turns them off. Like instead of them doing their own research, they just I'm not with religion anymore because of what that man did. And if you read the scriptures, it tells you, you shouldn't follow man. You should follow the word, because that man is just a man. That's he's just flesh. But again, like all these problems and things we're talking about, all of them are solved by reading, understanding for yourself the Bible, and living in what God says we should be living in, which is
exactly.
But again, it's like you and I are pushing this, right? But then we'll push this, and we have our platform. We have a podcast. You have the barbershop. I have the clients I go see, and my book, and all that. But it's so hard to fight against the machine that's pushing out the total opposite, and they're throwing out so much information that it's hard to even get kids to sit down long enough to read a book, to read a Dr. Seuss book, let more of the Bible. They don't sit there. It's like it's information overload, and they don't want to sit down and take the time to actually read. Which I said on the previous pod, that was a song when I was a kid. Maybe you was a kid too. It's called "I'm Just a Nobody." Trying to tell
somebody
about
everybody.
That's it. Yeah, I'm just nobody trying to tell everybody about somebody that can save everybody, or something like
Jackson
that.
Southern Air. This is Jackson
Yeah,
Southern
that's it.
Air.
Yeah, I'm at the add it to this clip. I'm like, I'm just a nobody trying to tell everybody about somebody can save everybody.
Who can save everybody? Yep.
And that's what it is. And what's funny now, I tried to say this on another pod too. I jacked it up there too, but that's what it comes down to. But like you say, we're so far removed. We're in a society where by you trying to follow the Bible the correct way, you looked at as being wrong. You see what I'm saying? It's like what is wrong is viewed as right, and what is right
say that
is viewed as exactly. And so and that's the best way to fool people, to make
them. And Christ also said they're gonna hate you because they hated me first. So if you're trying to follow him, they definitely gonna hate you.
Yep, exactly. And you got to be willing to deal with it, because it's gonna definitely be part of it.
Of course.
And most people hate themselves, so they definitely have no problem hating you.
Hey, man, you just said something so prolific, because when you talk about the commandments, people will go to Matthew 22, 23, and 27, where Christ basically said, hang all the law on these two commandments. Love God with all your heart, soul, not have no God before him. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. And I tell people all the time, the hardest thing about that statement is love your neighbor, but the part that people don't get is where it says, as you love yourself. You can't love your neighbor or God if you haven't learned to love yourself first.
Amen. Exactly.
And man, that's a lot of people do not love themselves, and they will have a hard time when you tell them, if you do that, that just means you don't love yourself.
Right.
You out here banging all these chicks, and you ain't married to none of them. You ain't putting on a condom. You're risking your life. That is you not loving yourself.
Then they mad at you.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I can say, because I've stood my ground so hard, and what I'm saying, like, everybody in the shop knows what I'm on. So certain people be cautious about asking me stuff, but then certain people will come and ask me stuff all the time. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it comes to the scriptures. So it is what it is. I done had debates with one of Mario's clients who went to I don't know, he went to some Christian school, and I always told Mario, I said, look at what he does and look at what I do. He gonna talk off. I said, because I keep a Bible at the school. I mean, at the shop. I said, he gonna talk off his emotion. I'm gonna pull that Bible out every time. I'm gonna tell you what thus said the Lord. These ain't my words. This ain't how I feel. And I had to tell old boy, I've understood so much in these scriptures and still don't know much, but I understand a lot that I didn't know. I don't even get emotional. I said, you may misinterpret my passion for when you say something and I go to the scriptures.
Right.
You may misinterpret my passion for me being upset. I'm never upset. Like, I can't force you to see something God don't want you to see. And the
Right.
scripture says God has blinded many people. So if God done blinded you, I can't make you see it no
Right.
way. But
Yeah.
I stand on what I know and defend what I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I be doing.
Yeah. And it's crazy. Like I say, and like I tell people, it's kind of like trying to save people. Like you can't save everybody. You try and you do all
No.
you can, but it's like trying to have somebody stop an addiction. They gotta want it too. Like you can pour them all day, you can take them to rehab, you can hide drugs or whatever, but until they want to do it, you can't make them stop. I'm trying to put together a program for these kids, man, because
Man, I'm all in for that, for real.
even if we can just help the kids in Cordova starting off, we just need to do something. You know what I'm saying? Like even if it's just 20 kids, man, just to do something, because I know what it benefited me as a child, and I know this generation. Shoot, I told my son, just to be a boy that knows how to change the tire and check oil, you done put yourself in the upper echelon just because you can do something they can't do, you know. So
Man, you know, it's ironic. One of the brothers I used to be in the school with, I watched his progression and him growing, being around us.
mm-hmm.
And I had to tell him one day, because he got a mouthpiece on him. He's real, you know what I'm saying?
Guys.
Yeah. So he can talk that talk, and I like listening to him. It'd be funny. But he was telling me one day how you know, his friends be getting jealous because, you know, he always talking to these women, and you know what I'm saying? He said he don't even be trying to talk to them. You know, he just be talking. And I told him, I said, bro, let me tell you something. Those are not your friends. Those are your frenemies.
That's it. Yep.
Those are your frenemies. And I said, I'm gonna tell you what their problem is. I said, they see something in you that you don't see in yourself yet. And I said, it's sad that I'm gonna have to tell you this.
Yep.
You're on a different echelon in them, because here it is, you 28, 29. At the time, he had no kids. I said, you don't have no kids. You got your own place. I said, you got 3 vehicles. These dudes that you hanging around, living with girls, borrowing their girl car, they don't have nowhere to go when the girl get mad and put them out. I said, and don't think that girl is not mentioning you around that dude she dealing with, because she sees the man that you are. I said, bro, you are very rare. You know what I'm saying? To be young and have all this going for you. And he was a maintenance man. Well, he was a maintenance man working in an apartment, so he know how to fix a whole lot of stuff.
Oh, he a man. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I understand women get turned on by a man taking care of business. So he would volunteer to, you know, change tires, the oil, and do all this stuff. Chick locked herself out. He went and unlocked the door. Like, with her boyfriend told her to call him. This was another dude. So I told him, I said, be careful with that, dog. That'll turn into an issue.
Yeah. They've been able to kill you out here.
You think that's your partner. I said, even though he told her to call you, that'll turn into an issue.
It ain't sitting well. And I'll say this before we go. And they so emotional now. They so emotional, and these women encourage them to be highly emotional. I'm telling my wife, I can't be overly emotional as a man, because when men lose their control of their emotions, people die. Like a woman might have a shouting match and all that type of stuff, that's fine. But when most men lose total control or highly emotional, they end up killing somebody. Like
I tell you, young cats, as a man, learn to control your Johnson and your emotions. And you can control the world.
That's it.
You know, don't lose control of either one of those, and you got it, bro. That's all you got to do.
I want to say, man, thank you. I greatly appreciate you coming on the podcast. This has been a great conversation. I'm looking forward to continue. We might do a part 2, and I'm also looking forward to trying to get with you on a mentoring program. So again, thank you for being a guest. It was amazing. Can't wait to do it again. God bless you.
Definitely, man. I appreciate you having me on, and I look forward to it. I'd love to do a part 2. You know what I'm saying? I ain't know how this was gonna go, but it's been fun, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime, man. Yeah, we'll definitely do part 2. I think we might have a whole series. Maybe to get that going. So we'll figure something out.
For sure.
All right, have a blessed one, man.
You too, bro.
Thank you for joining me on this episode of Life, Lessons, and Legacy. I hope you found our discussion thought-provoking and inspiring. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. Your feedback helps us to improve and reach more listeners like you. Remember, life is a journey of growth and discovery, and every experience, both the highs and the lows, contributes to the legacy we leave behind. So embrace each moment, cherish the lessons, and live with purpose. You can find more resources, including my book, Life, Lessons, and Legacy, How to Take Life's Lessons and Shape Your Legacy, available for purchase on my website at www.lifelessonsandlegacy.com, also available on amazon.com. On my website, you'll also discover information about my life coaching services and speaking engagements designed to help you unlock your full potential and live a life full of purpose. I'm Cedric D. Nelson. Until next time, take care, and I'll see you soon.